In a sun-baked village where red clay painted every wall and the scent of plantain oil danced through the air, there lived a young woman named Frema, renowned across the region for her beauty. Her skin gleamed like polished mahogany, her eyes sparkled like firelight on water, and her hair flowed like midnight silk. Men came from neighboring villages just to steal a glance at her, but Frema barely noticed. Her pride was as striking as her beauty, and it clung to her like a second skin. She walked the market like royalty, her clothes finer than anyone in generations, imported silks from across the sea, golden earrings that caught the sun, perfumes made from rare flowers. When men approached her with timid hopes, she laughed, not cruelly, but with the casual dismissal of one who believed herself far above them. Among them was Yo, a young carpenter with kind eyes and strong hands. His offer of love was sincere, but to Frema, his small home, his modest life, and his calloused hands were insults to her value. She turned him away like she would a wandering dog, leaving him humiliated beneath the village tree. She believed, as many do before wisdom humbles them, that her beauty demanded the extraordinary. And so, the gods, if one believes such forces guide fate, answered. One late afternoon, as the sun dipped behind the baobab trees, a strange vehicle rode into the village. It was a carriage unlike any the people had seen, black as obsidian, silent as mist, pulled not by horses but by a force no one could name. The villagers gathered in hushed awe. From it stepped a man named Afriyie. His height was unnatural, his movements too smooth, his garments made of fabrics that shimmered and shifted color with every motion. He introduced himself not as a prince or chief, but as one from a land of endless riches, a realm where rivers flowed with wine and palaces grew. From the earth. He asked only one thing, to meet the maiden called Frema. The villagers led him to her, and when their eyes met, something unseen passed between them. To Frema, he was the embodiment of her dreams, wealth, status, mystery. He was everything the others were not. And when he offered gifts to her family, jewels that glowed in darkness, gold dust in sealed bottles, and spices that set the senses ablaze, they did not know what to make of it. Only Auntie Ya, Frema's mother, hesitated. She watched Afriyie with unease. His smile was too practiced. His silence too deep, but her words of warning fell like pebbles against stone. Frema had made her decision. The wedding was a marvel. Traders from distant towns arrived to witness it. Elephants wore silk drapes. Dancers from across the mountains performed rituals long forgotten. Gifts rained upon the village like monsoon. Frema stood at the altar adorned in a gown that shimmered like morning dew on spiderwebs. She was the envy of every girl and the idol of every boy. Yet amidst the celebration, whispers called like snakes, where were Afriyie's people? No family, no kin, no tribe. Just him and the gifts. But Frema was too enraptured to ask questions. The life she had always desired was now hers. The next morning, she left the village in Afriyie's strange carriage. The road led into the forest, a dense, twisting path that few dared to travel after dusk. As they rode deeper, the light began to fade. Not like sunset, but like a curtain drawn across the sun. The air grew thick. Birds fell silent. Even the trees bent unnaturally, as though trying to flee the road. Then, without warning, the forest vanished. The sky split open. The ground cracked like clay beneath fire. And the carriage dissolved. Afriyie transformed before her, his skin tearing to reveal scales blacker than night, his eyes glowing like coals in a dying fire. Horns curled from his skull. His voice changed, no longer smooth, but rumbling and ancient. He had not come from a distant kingdom, but from a pit deeper than the earth's memory. Frema screamed, but it was too late. The underworld had claimed her. There, in a land of fire and shadow, she was bound in chains of smoke and flame. The demons who dwelled there laughed at her beauty, mocked her once proud posture, and renamed her the bride of vanity. She became their servant, washing the bones of ancient kings, feeding their beasts, and polishing stones that whispered secrets to break her mind. Each day, she was reminded of her pride, how she had chosen a lie over love, shadow over sunlight. The underworld was not punishment. It was consequence. Back in the world of the living, Frema's parents wept. Word of her disappearance spread quickly, and with it, fear. The gifts Afriyie left behind lost their luster. The perfume soured. The gold dulled. Some claimed to see shadows creeping where his feet once touched the earth. Afriyie, guided by dreams and old wisdom, journeyed into the forest. She carried offerings of honey, kola nuts, and prayers. Days passed before she encountered an old man lying by a river, weak and dying. She fed him, sang to him, and stayed by his side. That man was no man at all. When he rose, he stood as the forest spirit, ancient guardian of balance. Her kindness moved him, and he revealed the truth. Frema had been taken by a demon of pride, and only a soul-bound clean could return. He gave her sacred leaves, whispering that they must be brewed and offered upon her return, if she returned. Then he vanished like wind. In the underworld, Frema began to change. Her beauty withered. Her vanity was peeled away, layer by layer. At night, she saw visions of your quiet kindness, her mother's warnings, the people she had scorned. Shame settled in her bones like frost. She stopped resisting, not out of despair, but out of surrender to truth. Then, when her spirit was nearly gone, the forest spirit came. His light pierced the underworld like a blade. Demons recoiled, shrieking in terror. Afriyie rose to meet him, monstrous and furious, but the spirit's radiance burned through his illusions. A battle unlike any seen in this world or the next ensued, flames against light, screams against silence. In the end, the chains holding Frema broke. She collapsed into the spirit's arms and was carried through the veil, back into the land of the living. She awoke in her mother's hut, surrounded by herbs and prayers. Afriyie, her eyes hollow from sleepless nights, held her and gave her the sacred brew. Frema drank, and her body convulsed as the darkness left her. Her screams shook the hut. But when it was over, her face was calm. She returned to the village, humbled. The people watched her with weary eyes, but she bowed low before them. She asked for forgiveness, not with words of charm, but with the trembling voice of one who had seen death. In time, she was forgiven. Among the villagers was Owusu, the chief cocoa farmer's son. Once quiet, he now saw her not as a prize, but as a survivor. When he asked for her hand, he did so not with pride, but with hope. She accepted. Not for riches, not for glory, but for love. Their wedding was small. No elephants, no gold. Just drums, dancing feet, and a village that had learned a lesson older than fire. True worth lies not in what we wear, but in how we live. Years passed, and Frema became a teacher, not of numbers or letters, but of life. She gathered young girls beneath the baobab trees and told them the story of her fall. Not to frighten them, but to guide them. She taught them to walk with grace, to love without pride, and to seek wisdom before wealth. Some say the forest still whispers her name, and that the demons still wait for those who dare wear pride like a crown.